Hey everyone, TheGamingChief here. Today I'm going to be doing a video on how to add Mass's ManyItemOverhaul to your DayZ Standalone Server, and I'll also be showing you how to add the items from this mod into your traders. And once again, I just want to state that I am starting off where I left off in my last DayZ video, so if you're confused, I highly recommend you start with the beginning of the series. There are links for that in the description, and there's actually a card on the top right hand of your screen right now. And this video is broken up into 4 different parts. Timestamps are on your screen now as well. And for part 1, we're going to be adding the mod to our server. So as you can see here, I am already on the workshop page for Mass's ManyItemOverhaul. It has some information about it, FAQ, all sorts of other stuff there. What I'm going to do for now is I'm going to go ahead and go into the URL here. I'm going to click in here and I'm going to go ahead and copy the Steam Workshop ID of this item. And then we're going to go ahead and remote into our server that we've been previously working on. And this server is already set up. We have been using it in the previous videos. It has the trader mod, it has other mods in it already, and everything is working properly here. And then so what I'm going to go ahead and do in order to download the mod is I'm going to open up my mod list file. And I'm going to paste that user ID in. And then you can really name this anything you want. So I'll go back here though, copy the main name. Paste that in here, and I'm going to remove any special characters. Special characters can break stuff. It typically won't, but I just prefer to get rid of them anyways, and we're going to go ahead and save that. And just a note here, this modlist.txt that I'm using here is part of some previous videos I've done that include how to automatically download and update mods automatically when the server starts. So if you aren't following along and you haven't done that, I do recommend you do follow the previous videos and all that, but if not, you just download the file, you subscribe to it on the workshop, and then once it syncs, you can copy it from your computer over to your server. And to get this to go ahead and download, I'm going to go ahead and run my start bat file, and I'm not going to let the server fully launch, I'm just going to let it go ahead and quickly download the mod files. And as we can see, I went ahead and downloaded it. It's going to go ahead and try to start the DayZ server. For now, we're going to cancel out of that as we don't want that to run right now, as we have some other steps we have to do to configure it and get it all working properly. So we're going to go ahead and go into the folder here, and you have your general add-ons, your keys. Your key will get auto-copied, assuming you're using my script. If not, you can make sure you copy your key into your keys folder. That way people can join the server with this mod. And then we have an XMLs folder. This XMLs folder has a couple different files. This has a class names list, and this should have an up-to-date list of all class names that are included in the mod. It's very helpful, especially for adding stuff to traders. You should also have a CFG spawnable types. This is a file we'll need to modify. We'll get back to this in a minute. And then we have changelogs. It has some changelog there. This is a pre-configured trader file. We'll get back to this in a moment. We have the readme instructions, and this just basically tells you, hey, this is how it does it in case anything changes, but this is telling you how to update your CFG spawnable types along with your types folder here, or types file here. And yeah, it kind of shows you how that works. So we can go and close that. And then types is going to be the same thing as CFG spawnables. We're going to go ahead and open up Atom as our text editor. And I'm just going to get back to where we were there. So the first thing we're going to have to deal with is the CFG spawnable types file. So we're going to go ahead and double click on this, and it basically says, this is some stuff we need to add to our CFG spawnables. Do not, just copy and replace it. You don't need to do that. It'll actually cause a bunch of issues if you do. So the next thing we need to do is we need to go into our MP missions folder. And again, this is the same thing as using our regular file browser here. It's just I'm using a built-in one with my text editor. And we're going to go to our mission file folder that we're using. So in this case, it's going to be the regular Trinaris Plus one. If you're not sure, you should know what map you're playing on, what mission folder. But if not, you can go into, let's see here, you can go into your server dz.cfg, and then towards the bottom, you should see, there it is. This is the map we're playing on, so that's the correct folder right here. So I'm going to go in here, and then we're going to look for our CFG spawnables, which should be this one. And we're going to go ahead and add this. So we're going to go ahead and highlight all this. We're going to go and copy. And I'm just going to go down to the bottom. You can do Control+N on your keyboard. And that will go ahead and take you to the bottom. I'm going to go a little bit further up past this all commented out section. a bit farther up, honestly. Oh, there we go. And then I'm just gonna press enter a few times. And then now that we got some space here, I'm gonna paste that in. And then, so we're just making sure that we didn't accidentally paste it inside of another item, which we didn't. That all looks good. Yep, everything looks good there. And we'll go ahead and save that file. And next we're gonna go ahead and need to update our types. So if we look in here, we do have a types.xml, and it says in the title, this is not a replacement. Do not replace your types.xml, as you will cause issues, as this only has masses items and you still need everything else in your types. So I'm gonna go ahead and Control A to highlight everything, and I'm gonna copy everything here, and then I'm gonna go to my types.xml file. So I'm back into np missions, back into our mission file folder, and then in our DB folder, we have types.xml, and then this has everything we need for everything spawn rate, stuff like that. I'm going to do Control+End to go to the bottom here, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go right here. There's types. This ends the entire file. Type right here just ends the current item. So we're going to go in between these two, press enter. That way we're at the end of this file, but not the end of the file itself. So we're at the end of this item, but not the file. And then I'm going to go ahead and paste that in. And then strangely enough, the way the mod author has placed it in here, they've included a entry types. In this case, I'm just going to remove that. And then we also need to get to the very beginning of this entry of where the mass items get added. The easiest way I find that is if you copy this top line here, you can search it, and we can see that's the very top of our file. And then right here is where it gets added. So we're going to remove these two top lines. And then the formatting's a bit wacky. You can go and highlight it and untab it by one if you really want to. But in this case, I'm not going to. It doesn't really matter that much. And then we can go ahead and save this file as we're done modifying it. And that's really it for the initial install of the mod. We got the mod added to our server, and we also added it to our types and our CFG spawnables types file. So that's good to go. If you start your server, you should be able to find this stuff in the wild now. Now we're just going to go ahead and move on to part 2, which is going to be adding items to your traders. That way you're able to go ahead and buy stuff and sell stuff from this mod. So I'm going to go ahead and open up the mass_trader cfg.c file. This is located in the mod download, so it's in the app folder. And what it has is it has, like, say, a pre-configured entry for the trader. So it has pretty much everything with a default price of 1,000 to buy and 5 to sell. And that's just kind of a default, and it should have everything that's in the class names list. And then we're going to go ahead and go modify our traders. So this is going to be in your server folder. In my case, that's going to be server name right here. And it may not be server name for everyone. It just depends on how you set up your config file or your batch file in reality. So we can look at our batch file real fast. And if we look here, we can find the way I set mine up has server name is in the profiles parameter. So that's how I know that's my folder right here for is server name. Some people name that to their server name or whatever, but that's our profile folder that we need to look in. And then we have our trader folder. Again, we already have trader set up and working properly. And then we have our trader config.txt file. And then I'm going to reopen that other file. There we go. And now it may be tempting just to say highlight all of this, copy it, and then put it somewhere. And some people do that. So this essentially what this does is this creates a category called ManyItemOverhaul, and it just has every item that is buyable from their mod available in a single category. So what some people do is say, if we look for the tool person, so the miscellaneous trader, they go down and they go to the end of the trader, they go through and they say, oh, let me just, copy all this again, and then add this right here. And if we scroll up and space that out. This will work. If you went to the tools trader, it would have a new category called Masses ManyItemOverhaul. However, in my opinion, that's not very clean. You can do that if you want. This is really good for testing. Say if you're trying to figure out what each class name, what item it really goes to. So if you're testing, it's not too bad of an idea. But in our case, we're not going to be doing that, as we're going to be actually organizing a bit. So we'll go ahead and do that. And we'll get started to putting some of the items in their, what you would consider their appropriate categories. And for time's sake, I'm not going to go through every single item from the mod list. There's a lot of different items in this mod. It's kind of part of its mod name. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to hit most categories, one item for most category. So I have a list over here that I wanted to add. So the first thing is I'm looking for vests. So I'm just going to search for vests, category vests, and then you just get your class name. And then as we saw in this folder, you have all the class names of all the different items. Currently, I have this item right here I want to add. So we can go ahead and go here. We have vests, and then we can just add this in. We can add it into the bottom. We can add it to the top. It really doesn't matter. I'm going to go ahead and put it here. We're going to add that comma there. And then we'll do an asterisk because we don't need anything there. And then our buy price for this camo vest is going to be like 500 or something like that. And then we can say that it sells for, I don't know, 50. And we just are going to kind of repeat that process. Just make sure you're following proper syntax. You're adding a comma after the class name, after the asterisk, along with your buy and sell price. If you have any questions, you can kind of just look through this file. Honestly, it's pretty self-explanatory on how it works. But we got that item in, so let's go to our next category. And that's our next category, hoodies and sweaters. And we have a hoodie we want to add. And we can just add this in. Say you can buy it for 200 and say it sells for like 20 or something like that. And that's good to go. We'll do this with jackets and coats again. And there's a decent amount of jackets. For the most part, I'm just adding these all to the end. You can add them wherever you really want. Just make sure that you're following proper syntax. Again, 250, 50, doesn't really matter. Next, I'm just going to go ahead and add some pants in here. So we'll scroll down through the pants, add that there. There we go. Sure. Whatever. And I'm just going to continue to do this for all categories real fast. This will only take a minute. And as I'm finishing up, I made it over to the rifles, and this is where things change a bit with the weapons. Instead of this asterisk, we do actually have to change something. So as I add this other gun in, I'm just going to kind of do the same thing, new line, class name. And the next thing here, instead of putting an asterisk, we're going to put a W. As we can see at the very top of this file, it does explain what you have to change. In this case, W is for a weapon. So if we do that, it's a weapon. And there's other different quantities for other things. But in this case, that's what we need to have it set as, is we need to let the trader know that this is a weapon. That way you can handle buying and selling of it properly. And we'll go ahead and continue, add that, set a price. And then the next thing is make sure you guys add ammo for your guns. So in this case, we're going to jump down to ammo. And we'll go ahead and scroll to the bottom. Again, it doesn't really matter where it's at. And we'll go ahead and put that class name in for the magazine for this gun. Again, we're going to set the quantity for ammo, so how many you get. You typically are going to leave this as 1 unless you're doing some weird stuff, but for the most part, it's going to stay 1 along with the price to buy and then the sell price. And then here's some information that's kind of important to keep in mind when you're pricing stuff out when it comes to ammo boxes, because you can unpack ammo boxes and resell and stuff like that. So just make sure you keep this message in mind when you're setting prices. And we'll go ahead and save this file. And now that we've gone ahead and finished modifying our trader, we can go ahead and jump into part 3, and we're going to go ahead and start testing in game and make sure everything's working properly. So I'm going to go ahead and launch my server. And again, this is just going to go through, make sure everything's up to date, and then it'll launch the server. Alrighty, now that our server's launched, we can go ahead and minimize our remote connection. And we can go ahead and open up the DayZ Standalone Launcher. And we can go and find our server real fast. And verify, yep, there we go. And it's showing that we do have the mod now, so that's good. And we'll go ahead and hit play. And we'll go ahead and join and check out and make sure everything's working right. Alrighty, now that we're in, we can go ahead and turn our admin tools on. And we'll quickly just make it day so we can see a bit better. If I can find where it's at, there it is. There we go. And then we're actually right outside the trader, so we can just go ahead and teleport on up here. Alright, and now we can go ahead and test to make sure everything that we put in is working properly. So we're going to go up to the clothing trader, and the first thing on my list is the vest. So we'll go to vests. And we can see here, we have, let's see here. Yep, the ballistic vest, this one right here, it's the masses one. I have some money on me, so I can go ahead and buy that. There we go. Everything's looking good there. We can check a few other things, such as hoodies and sweaters. And as we can see that custom sweater's there as well. And that will get added to my inventory right there. Alright, and I went ahead and verified that a few other clothing things are working, got the helmet, stuff like that. Ignore that card. So we can go ahead and check, make sure the gun's there. So we'll go up to this guy, and we'll go look for the rifles. So there it is, that gun is there, perfect. We can go ahead and buy that, and it'll get added onto our back. And then if we go up to the ammo guy, we can go ahead and check here. We can see it's highlighted the rounds that go to this gun, so the 7.62 rounds, and then the magazine that we added is right under it. So we can go ahead and buy one magazine, and then we can also buy a couple rounds to go with it. And if we close out of there, look, and it looks like, yep, we got our magazine right here, and we have our additional rounds. And that's about it. We went ahead and we got the mod added properly. We got the items added to the spawn tables or the loot tables. So stuff should start spawning normally without any issues. We also got everything added to the trader that we wanted to add. And it's really good to go. It's pretty easy for the most part, just sometimes you can make a mistake while modifying your types file or while you're modifying the trader, and that's what people tend to do. They mess like a syntax error up or something along those lines, but we got everything working properly, and that's really about it for this video. There will be some more videos, hopefully pretty soon, about like common mistakes, displaying player count on the server every like 5-10 minutes or whatever, how to add the banking add-on, other stuff, all that's coming soon. And that's really about it. If you guys have any video suggestions or more mod setup videos you'd like to see, let me know. And other than that, have a great day.
A pair of jeans, a shirt or two. We didn't pack as if we weren't